Now, News Center 6 at 10 with Sheldon Ribson, Kim Benson, Sports with Steve Sizer, and Terry Swales weather. This is News Center 6.
President Reagan wants to widen the scope of testing for the disease AIDS.
In his first major speech about acquired immune deficiency syndrome, the president ordered testing of federal prisoners for the deadly disease. And he added the virus to the list of diseases for which immigrants can be denied entry to the U.S. Reagan is also recommending that states offer AIDS testing for people applying for a marriage license. The president's speech to the American Foundation on AIDS Research came just one day before a week-long international conference on AIDS opens in Washington.
What our citizens must know is this: America faces a disease that is fatal and spreading, and this calls for urgency, not panic. It calls for compassion, not blame. And it calls for understanding, not ignorance.
The president's speech follows recommendations from his cabinet-level Domestic Policy Council. It goes against some recommendations of Surgeon General C. Everett Koop and other public health officials who have vigorously opposed mandatory AIDS tests of any kind except for immigrants.
The name has been released of the Davenport teen who drowned yesterday at Westlake Beach. 15-year-old Raphael Steele was swimming with two friends in the deep end of an authorized swimming area. Steele said he could not make it to a nearby rope and grabbed the waist of a friend. That friend yelled to lifeguards for help. 3 divers were called to the scene, and the body was recovered after dragging operations. Sheriff Forrest Ashcraft said apparently the boy could not swim. A drowning incident at Wacky Waters Activity Park in Davenport claimed the life of yet another area teenager yesterday. These incidents bring to mind the importance of swimming safety, whether you're at an indoor or outdoor facility. The unusually warm spring weather has brought kids out to their favorite swimming area a little earlier this year. And those in charge of watching the kids say they encounter the same problems every year, that kids and parents don't know the safety rules. Some important ones to remember. Don't eat before you go swimming. It could cause cramps and make it hard to continue swimming. Never swim alone. Always take another person with you. That way, if you run into trouble, someone can go for help. Never swim in an unsupervised area. Go where the lifeguards are. They can take care of you in an emergency. And lifeguards say, by all means, if you don't know how to swim, don't go.
We try and ask people if we don't recognize them, we ask them if they do know how to swim. If not, children under a certain age are to be accompanied by a parent. That way the parent can take special attention to watch that child since they are not able to swim and be there with them. It's awful hard for a lifeguard guarding a huge facility to be watching those who can swim and those who can't swim.
Even though they're effective for marking deep water areas, Horst says the East Moline pool doesn't have a safety rope because the 2 swimming areas have uniform depth. She also says, contrary to popular belief, things like inner tubes are not life-saving devices.
I think swimming safety needs to be enforced a lot more. Parents should be aware of the rules that are involved and make their children aware of it. If everyone's informed, then that cuts down on tragedies and problems all over.
One other thing Horst mentioned was that parents should start children swimming at an early age so they can overcome their fear of water.
Some 400 students graduated from Augustana College in Rock Island this afternoon. Illinois Governor Jim Thompson gave the commencement address. He told graduates there is a place in society for everyone's contributions, but he's somewhat concerned about job opportunities for those people graduated.
We have many more job opportunities in Illinois today if the business community and members of the Illinois General Assembly would get a little more serious about investing in our state to make that happen. We're 4 weeks from adjournment in Springfield. There's been no movement on the tax package. They may well adjourn without passing one. That would cause, I think, great harm to our state's educational efforts, economic development efforts.
Besides speaking at the graduation ceremonies, Thompson was awarded one of 4 honorary Doctor of Humane Letters degrees. It was the 13th honorary degree for Thompson. He says he feels a unique connection to Augustana because he's the first Swedish governor in Illinois history, and Augustana is one of the oldest active Swedish-based colleges in America. In the Persian Gulf today, Iran said it captured 7 Kuwaiti speedboats. Iran's official news agency says all the crew members on all the boats have confessed to spying for Iraq. The news agency does not say how many people were captured or if they were caught at the same time. But Iran does call the incident new treachery by Kuwait in its efforts to aid Iraq in its ongoing war with Iran. There has been no response as yet from Kuwait.
Iranian fundamentalists launched a major assault on Israeli positions today in South Lebanon. 400 Shiite fundamentalist guerrillas launched human wave attacks on 3 Israeli positions. The fighting took place just north of what Israel designated a security zone when they pulled out of Lebanon 2 years ago. Reports later said that an Israeli armored convoy was moving up to support other units dug in at the scene of the attacks. At least 22 persons were killed and 61 wounded in the assault. West German officials say they still don't know where the young pilot who flew his plane into Red Square is being held, but they've been told they'll be able to visit the 19-year-old early this week. A West German newspaper quotes a Soviet official as saying Matthew Rust will probably be tried, then released. These are exclusive pictures made available to NBC News by a tourist who was shooting them when Rust's plane zoomed past. It's clear that the pilot came dangerously close to the Lenin Mausoleum, the most revered site in the Soviet Union. The incident cost 2 high-ranking officials in the Soviet Defense Ministry their jobs. But in West Germany, Rust is being treated practically as a hero.
Coming up next, a preview of this week's Ralph Lauren Davis murder trial.
And later, a walk through Jackson County's new attraction.
Portions of tonight's news are brought to you by American Family Insurance.
This summer, be cool, comfortable, and collect over $1,500 in optional equipment from Lindquist Ford. These 4-door Escorts are loaded with luxury items: automatic transmission, air conditioning, AM/FM stereo radio, power steering, and a lot more. All at a low price of $82.30 with applied rebates and discounts. Wagons slightly higher. Be comfortable with a lot more car for your money from Lindquist Ford on State Street in Bettendorf, 5 blocks east of the I-74 bridge.
The defense is expected to begin its case tomorrow in the Ralph Lauren Davis murder trial. Davis is standing trial in Cedar Rapids, accused of killing Mount Pleasant Mayor Ed King and wounding 2 city council members during a meeting last December. Defense attorney T.K. Ford says the 69-year-old Davis may testify on his own behalf this week. Ford also has indicated he might bring experts to the stand to testify about Davis's time in a Japanese prisoner of war camp during World War II. Ford wants to show that Davis was legally insane or had diminished responsibility during the shootings. The trial is set to resume at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Our Health Watch segment tonight is about food, specifically leftovers. Dr. Dina Dell says medical research has found a connection between stored food and a killer cholesterol.
If you're one of the millions of people who worry about plain old cholesterol, let me complicate your lives and give you something special to worry about: cholesterol oxide. Cholesterol oxides form after foods are cooked and stored, even in a refrigerator. Now, research has found that cholesterol oxides are toxic to the insides of your arteries and may be more likely to cause hardening of the arteries than plain old regular cholesterol. The conclusion: beware of leftovers and stick to freshly cooked foods, which means you've got to eat it all in one sitting. Well, to the rescue come researchers from the University of Wisconsin. They found that not only did cholesterol oxides not cause more atherosclerosis, but they seemed to prevent its formation. Now, all this research was done on rabbits, and the earlier research finding that cholesterol oxides were bad for you were done on chickens. And the chicken researchers said the rabbit research is no good because chickens metabolize cholesterol in a more human-like fashion, and they also said they didn't give the right cholesterol oxides to the rabbits. Well, rabbits eat rabbit food, and chickens eat chicken food. What is a lowly human and his leftovers to do? That's easy. Cholesterol and saturated fats are to be avoided altogether until further notice. And as far as leftovers, well, I quote from the article, and I agree. Quote, "I think more research is needed to resolve this issue." I'm Dr. Dina Dell.
Are you confused?
Definitely.
Me too. Despite the severe weather we've been having, it looks like the heat and humidity are going to stick around.
We'll have the complete forecast with Terry Swales when we come back.
Tonight's weather brought to you by Burke Dry Cleaners, home of Mr. Neat.